Good afternoon and welcome to this live Securing Best Value from Procurement webinar. This is one of a series of entirely free short sessions that Entrust Support Services have developed in partnership with the DfE around the key areas of school resource management. Further information on the other webinars in the series is at the end of this presentation, as well as on our website, which is on the screen now. We have also produced a resource pack that will go alongside this webinar. The resource pack contains full instructions for the various websites we'll be looking at throughout the presentation, so there is no need for anyone to take copious notes. Included in the pack will be some frequently asked questions you can refer back to, along with some useful internet links to the various sites and tools we'll be looking at today. Some of you may have already downloaded our resource pack, but if not, it is available on the website. We're going to start by having a refresher on procurement and the procurement cycle. I appreciate that some of you did attend the previous webinars and are very familiar with the concepts, but it will be a quick overview and may serve as a useful reminder. I also want to ensure that those of you who are new to procurement are in a position to understand the rest of the webinar and are not left behind. After we've looked at the introduction to procurement and the procurement cycle, we will move on and have a look at the DfE tools and website of what is available to support you with procuring best value for your goods and services. So firstly, what is procurement? This description by the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply states, procurement and supply management involves buying goods and services that enable an organisation to operate in a profitable and ethical manner. This is the overarching definition, although for public sector there are other rules and regulations we should follow. However, we are also of course interested beyond the purchase into securing long-term value through good contract management. For public sector procurement, the definition is different. The goal of public procurement is to award timely and cost-effective contracts to qualified contractors, suppliers and service providers for the provision of goods, work and services. This is to support government and public services operations, all while adhering to the public procurement rules and regulations. Some would argue that procuring within the private sector is easier than in the public sector, as the public sector finances are scrutinised more closely. Schools and academies have to ensure value for money and the 3 E's which many of you will be familiar with: economy, efficiency and effectiveness. Today though, we will talk about the tools that are available to support you from start to finish to ensure your procurement process is a straightforward one. Let's start by looking at the procurement cycle and how it can help you in procuring your goods or services. There are many variations of the procurement cycle, but we will be using the 6-step cycle as seen on screen. Step 1. Procurement planning. The first thing you need to understand is what is your procurement process or strategy within your own school or trust. For maintained schools, you would normally get this guidance from your local authority, and if you're a trust, this will be your own internal policy. You will follow this to procure or purchase, whether this is goods such as IT hardware or services such as auditing. We will follow the same process for both. Requirement definition. What are your requirements for your purchase? This is thinking about the detail, actual specifications of what you require, what the needs of the school, staff, pupils or other stakeholders are, the life cycle or contract length. These all need to be taken into account. Tendering or sourcing. Sourcing, identification and selection of your supplier is the 3rd step in this process, and this is where we will focus our time for the next few slides. Utilising some of the tools that are available via the DfE, the following steps will fall into line if these tools are used. The DfE website has a lot of useful guides to procurement. We are going to have a look at the Buying for Schools guidance and how this can support you. Okay, so what is the Get Help Buying for Schools support? In February, the DfE launched a new free procurement support service called Get Help Buying for Schools. The new service aims to help those in schools responsible for buying goods and services to get the best value for money, as we spoke about earlier. Based on insights and feedback from DfE pilot school buying hubs, this new initiative was born to show how schools can be best supported to buy goods and services compliantly while ensuring best value. The DfE vision for the new service is to empower every school with the capability to deliver best value from their buying for the benefit of every pupil. The core aims of this service is to support schools to enter better value commercial deals, saving them money. It makes schools feel better equipped to deliver future procurements and meets schools' business professionals' changing needs and ensure they are satisfied with the service that they receive. So, what is Get Help Buying for Schools? Get Help Buying for Schools is a free and impartial service delivered directly by the DfE for all state-funded schools in England. The DfE has appointed a team of procurement professionals to support your buying needs who can be flexible in the level of support they provide depending on your requirements. All buying guidance is available through gov.uk Buying for Schools website. The links are available in your resource pack on the SRM website, or search Buying for Schools on gov.uk will get you to all the help you need. Some of you may already be aware of the Find a Framework online tool that helps users to identify relevant DfE approved frameworks to meet their specific needs and the benefits each deliver. If not, you can watch our Introduction to Procurement webinar from 21/22, which is available on the DfE website. There are a wide range of goods and services available through DfE approved frameworks, everything from furniture to ICT and catering to MFDs. Each of the frameworks have been approved for use by schools by the DfE based on the quality of service and values they provide. Using frameworks also ensures that schools are buying goods and services in a legally compliant way, so this takes a lot of the stresses away from you as an individual when procuring. There are different core areas of support that the Get Help Buying for Schools team can offer if you need assistance to choose frameworks or undertake any buying activity. The first is advice and guidance. The team will give you general guidance or specific advice on buying goods or services for your school. They can give you support with buying goods or services for your school using a framework agreement, and they will buy on your behalf through a framework agreement, or will buy on your behalf by getting quotes or bids for contract renewals or new procurements from an open supplier market. This will help to mitigate the risk, stress and time involved in procuring your goods by utilising the DfE's knowledge bank of support staff. The Get Help Buying for Schools team aim to respond to you within 2 working days of your initial inquiry through their portal. Buying procedures and procurement law for schools. Now this is where people usually get a bit scared, as procurement law is a huge subject within itself. However, today we will hopefully alleviate some of the scariness. There is plenty of information and guidance with quick links which take you to further information on topics such as writing a specification or business case, when to buy from a framework agreement, running a mini competition, support with buying within or over regulated thresholds, writing and managing contracts, how to identify and report fraudulent activities, and how to manage your fixed assets. All of these areas have easy to follow guidance and tools, but remember, if you do get stuck, the Buying for Schools team are there to support you, so you have everything you need to hand. Our Introduction to Procurement webinar also covers these areas above, so check back in for a refresher if required. Next, we will look at the tools available. The first is the Create a Specification tool. At the moment, this covers catering and multifunctional devices, but the DfE will add other services to this in the future. The tool will take you through a step-by-step process to creating your specification, which is step 3 in the procuring cycle, requirement definition. Once this is complete, you can download your specification and share it with potential providers by inviting them to bid. The second area we will look is the Find a Framework tool. This tool will help you to find ways to buy goods or services recommended by the Department for Education, and it will help ensure you get value for money and that you comply with the relevant procurement regulations. And remember, if you need further support, the team at Get Help Buying for Schools are available to help you. DfE Framework Agreements. You can use frameworks without having to run a full procurement process. The approved frameworks have done all of the hard work on your behalf around compliance, value for money and legalities, as the suppliers have already been through a full competitive tender process. Each framework agreement has details of products, services and suppliers available, an agreed pricing structure and terms and conditions, along with guidance on how to buy. Products and services available on the frameworks range from consultancy services, finance, ICT to education supplies and many more. Buying through a framework can save you a lot of time, money and effort. The final tools that we will look at are the Stay Up to Date tools. Stay up to date. To keep up to date with and learn more about the Get Help Buying for Schools service, you can join @Buying for Schools on LinkedIn for regular updates about how the DFE are supporting schools to make the most of non-staff spend. All of these links will be provided in your resource pack. You can read the DFE blogs on Buying for Schools blog to see what is being worked on now and what is coming next. You can also sign up for emails about the latest products and guidance to get great value from your school's resources and get emails when we add or update pages on gov.uk. If that isn't enough and you need more information or have a query that you cannot find an answer to, you can email schools.commercial@education.gov.uk. Again, this is in your resource pack. Now you are aware of the tools and guidance available and where to find it, let's look at building procurement into your school strategy. First, what is strategic procurement? It is your long-term plan to ensure a timely supply of goods and services that are critical to an organisation's ability to meet its core objectives. So, what does this mean in practice? There are many strategies and processes around strategic thinking. This is covered in our Strategic Financial Planning webinar. Procurement should be part of your strategic planning. Your wants and wishes for future years should be built into your school development plan and budgeted for, but remembering that your plan must be focused on educational outcomes. You should ensure your procurement fits in with your school/trust's core aims and objectives. You should also incorporate a section on procurement as part of your financial policy if you don't already have this, and if you do, ensure it is reviewed annually so that it is still fit for purpose. For maintained schools, you should follow your local authority's procurement regulations, and for academies, you will need to produce your own from DFE guidance. The aims of the regulations and policy are to protect you, the governors/trustees and staff of the school when you are making decisions on buying supplies and services, to ensure that you, the governors/trustees and staff of the school can demonstrate that you have provided value for money when buying supplies and services and that you have done so in a clear and open manner. Public money should be protected and spent directly for what it is allocated for, following best value principles. Ideally, your procurement strategy should include the following things: a strategy statement, the rationale and the basis for remembering your core aims and objectives. Deliverables for the desired results. Exactly what are your requirements, who are your stakeholders, and what are your desired outcomes. Timeframe and deadlines. Remembering to plan in advance to give enough time to be thorough in your procurement method and timescales. A tactical plan for how your strategy will be implemented, who, what, when needs to be involved and the processes around this. The metrics used to evaluate your process. How will success in this area be measured? You could utilise tools such as SWOT analysis, which is an analysis tool for identifying and analysing an organisation's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, or a scope analysis, which is a process that helps you to identify opportunities and challenges, both internal and external, to your organisation, service or product. There are other tools out there that can support with this, such as category positioning matrix, and there are some examples of these in your resource pack. Thinking strategically. To help you plan strategically for your procurement, there are some key tools to have in place and to keep up to date. Number 1, a risk register. Your risk register is a document that allows senior leads and your governing/trust board to plan for, track and monitor key risks and risk controls for the whole school or trust. Risk registers record the main perceived risks to an organisation's financial or strategic aims. This document is not to be used in isolation for procurement purposes. Number 2, an asset register. Your fixed asset register is a list of all the assets your school or trust owns. All assets should have unique information attached to it, including financial data, an image, location data, and maintenance information. This document can support you in identifying those assets that need regular maintenance/services that need to be procured, or assets that may be coming to the end of their useful life and may need procuring. And lastly, contract registers. A contract register details the contracts and service level agreements that your school has in place. This is useful for planning in a timely manner the completion, extension or renewal of a contract or SLAs. Again, using this tool will support in your strategic procurement planning. It goes without saying that all of these documents should be kept up to date so that the information is robust and timely. Although compliance and risk is very important when thinking about procurement, you need to think beyond this. Planning ahead with procurement is key, allowing time to thoroughly consider business/user needs. Most schools will tender or renew contracts/SLAs at the same time within the school year, in readiness for April for maintained schools and September for academies. But why not be ahead of the curve? You know from your contracts or risk register what services or SLAs are coming up for renewal, so why not start this process earlier? Similarly, if you are requiring building work, why not procure in advance to ensure you get the work/contractors booked in/completed in the allocated time? This will help mitigate the risks of works not being completed in time. As previously mentioned, your school development plan should be integrated with any future procurement costs. For example, for building projects or changes to curriculum, investments in digital applications or hardware, these will also form a part of your school's financial strategy and planning, and all should be interlinked. And finally, you should remember if you plan ahead, you will have more time to engage with the Get Help for Buying for Schools team to support you in your procurement journey. Finally, don't forget to utilise the DFE tools and guidance to assist you in your procurement requirements. The DFE are working with the category team on a programme of framework assessments to update the offers that are available and find a framework. There is now also the option for your school or trust to provide a letter of authority to the DFE. This allows the Get Help Buying for Schools team to deal directly with your current energy provider to request usage figures, to save time getting renewals or new quotes. We would advise you to continually review what framework options are available when you have a requirement, as more/new options may be available. There are also better links to the Get Help Buying for Schools support throughout the Find a Framework page to help schools to choose between frameworks or get support with their procurement. The DFE have planned future updates that are being designed and will allow schools to upload a current energy bill with their inquiry. This will allow the DFE support team to review current charges and respond to queries quicker. Hopefully this webinar has taken away some of those fears and worries about procurement. With the tools, guidance and support available from the DFE, this should make your life a whole lot easier. And remember that good buying practices create value for the school and helps to improve children's experiences. So let's recap on the learning outcomes and see what we have learned. We have had an introduction to procurement and the procurement cycle. You should now know where to find the DFE tools and guidance available to you and how they can support you with procuring best value for your goods and services. We have talked about what strategic procurement is and what tools policies can support you to implement this. I would just like to remind you that you can book onto the other school resource management webinars via the website that is currently shown on this slide.